The early 20th century in the Pacific Northwest was a time of exploration and untamed wilderness. The dense forests and rugged mountains of Washington state held a certain mystique, attracting adventurers and prospectors hoping to make their fortunes in the uncharted territories. One such place was Mount St. Helens, an imposing stratovolcano surrounded by dense forests and steep canyons. This remote area was largely unexplored, save for a few intrepid souls who dared to venture into its depths. In the summer of 1924, a group of 5 men, Fred Beck, Gabe Lefevre, John Peterson, Marion Smith, and Smith's son, Roy, set out on a prospecting expedition to a gorge known as Ape Canyon. These men were experienced outdoorsmen and miners, driven by the lure of gold, rumored to be hidden in the area. Their goal was to work a claim they had staked in the canyon, a place so remote that it was seldom visited by other people. The men had heard stories of strange occurrences in the region, tales told by Native American tribes, about mysterious, ape-like creatures that roamed the forests. While they found these stories intriguing, they were more focused on their prospecting work and paid little heed to the legends. As the prospectors settled into their routine, they began to notice oddities that piqued their curiosity and unease. They often heard strange noises at night, noises that did not match the sounds of any known animals. Occasionally, they would find large, unidentifiable footprints near their camp, footprints that appeared to belong to a creature much larger than a bear or human. Despite these unsettling discoveries, the men continued their work, driven by the promise of gold. They speculated that the noises and footprints could be attributed to large animals, perhaps even a prank by other prospectors. They remained vigilant but did not let their fears overwhelm them. On the evening of July 10, 1924, as the sun began to set, Fred Beck and Marion Smith were returning to their cabin after a day of prospecting. As they approached the cabin, they noticed movement out of the corner of their eyes. Looking up, they saw a large, hairy creature standing on the edge of a nearby cliff. The creature was unlike anything they had ever seen, standing over 7 feet tall, covered in dark hair, and resembling the descriptions of the legendary Sasquatch. The men were stunned, frozen in place as the creature stared back at them. After a few tense moments, the creature turned and began to walk away. Beck, feeling threatened and wanting to protect his companions, raised his rifle and fired at the creature. The bullet struck the creature, causing it to let out a terrifying scream before it tumbled off the cliff and disappeared into the ravine below. That night, as darkness enveloped the canyon, the prospectors huddled inside their small log cabin, their nerves on edge. They had reinforced the cabin as best they could, but they knew it offered limited protection against whatever was out there. The silence of the night was soon shattered by the sound of rocks pelting the roof and walls of the cabin. The men realized with horror that they were under attack. Peering through the cracks in the log walls, the prospectors saw several large, shadowy figures moving around outside. These creatures, resembling the one Beck had shot earlier, seemed to be working together to breach the cabin. They pounded on the walls, pushed against the doors, and even climbed onto the roof, trying to find a way in. The men inside the cabin were terrified but resolute. Armed with rifles, they fired through the gaps in the logs, aiming at the shadows they could see outside. The gunfire seemed to have little effect, as the creatures continued their assault, undeterred by the bullets. The prospectors could hear guttural growls and howls, adding to the terror of the situation. The siege continued throughout the night, with the creatures trying various tactics to get inside. At one point, one of the creatures managed to block the chimney, causing smoke to fill the cabin and nearly suffocating the men inside. They quickly unblocked it, but the experience left them shaken. The creatures appeared to be intelligent, coordinating their efforts and using rocks and logs as tools to try to force their way in. The men took turns keeping watch, firing their rifles at any movement they detected outside. The constant barrage of rocks and the creature's attempts to breach the cabin made it nearly impossible to sleep. As the hours dragged on, the prospectors began to lose hope. They were running low on ammunition, and the relentless assault showed no signs of stopping. Every noise outside, every creak of the cabin, filled them with dread. They knew that if the creatures managed to break in, they stood little chance of survival. As dawn approached, the attacks began to subside. The creatures, perhaps deterred by the approaching daylight, retreated into the forest. The men, exhausted and shaken, cautiously emerged from the cabin to survey the damage. The surrounding area was littered with large rocks, and they found numerous footprints, each measuring around 19 inches in length, in the dirt. The prospectors quickly packed up their belongings, abandoning their claim and the cabin. They were determined to make it back to civilization and report their harrowing experience. The journey back was fraught with tension, as they constantly scanned the woods for any sign of the creatures. When the prospectors finally reached the town of Kelso, Washington, they recounted their story to anyone who would listen. News of the encounter spread quickly, and soon the tale was picked up by local newspapers, capturing the public's imagination. The press dubbed the creatures mountain devils, and also ape men, and the story of Ape Canyon became a sensation. Skeptics were quick to dismiss the prospector's account, suggesting that it was either a hoax or a case of misidentification. Some believed that the men had encountered a group of pranksters or misinterpreted the actions of local wildlife. Others speculated that the men, isolated and stressed from their time in the wilderness, had suffered a collective hallucination. Despite the skepticism, many people were intrigued by the story. Some believed it was evidence of the existence of Bigfoot or Sasquatch, legendary creatures said to inhabit the forests of the Pacific Northwest. The prospectors' detailed descriptions of the creatures, and the footprints they found, lent credibility to their account, fueling the debate over what really happened in Ape Canyon. In later years, Beck published a booklet titled, "I Fought the Ape Men of Mount St. Helens," providing a more detailed account of the incident. Beck's narrative expanded on the events of that fateful night, offering additional insights into the creatures and their behavior. He claimed that the beings were not mere animals but were supernatural entities with otherworldly abilities. According to Beck, the creatures communicated telepathically and had warned him and his companions to leave the area. He believed that their presence was linked to Native American legends about wild men, or Sasquatch, and that the creatures were protecting their territory from intruders. Beck's account added a layer of mysticism to the story, suggesting that the creatures were more than just undiscovered animals. In the decades since the Ape Canyon incident, numerous researchers and enthusiasts have attempted to locate the site of the cabin and the gold claim. Some have ventured into the remote wilderness around Mount St. Helens, hoping to find physical evidence that would corroborate the prospector's story. However, the exact location of the cabin remains elusive, and no definitive proof has been found. Despite the lack of physical evidence, the story of Ape Canyon continues to captivate those fascinated by the unknown. It has inspired countless books, documentaries, and investigations, becoming a cornerstone of Bigfoot folklore. The legend of Ape Canyon endures, a testament to the enduring allure of the unexplained and the mysteries that lie hidden in the depths of the wilderness. The Ape Canyon incident remains one of the most famous and controversial stories in the annals of Bigfoot lore. It has sparked a lasting debate over the existence of unknown creatures in the Pacific Northwest and has contributed to the broader cultural fascination with cryptids and the supernatural. The prospector's tale, whether viewed as a genuine encounter or a compelling piece of folklore, has left an indelible mark on the collective imagination. For many, the story of Ape Canyon serves as a reminder of the vastness and mystery of the natural world. It speaks to the possibility that there are still places on Earth where the unknown lingers, waiting to be discovered. The prospector's harrowing experience, with its blend of fear, survival, and the supernatural, continues to resonate with those who seek to explore the boundaries of the known and the unknown. The Ape Canyon incident of 1924 is a tale that transcends the boundaries of time and skepticism. It is a story that has been passed down through generations, captivating audiences with its mix of adventure, terror, and the inexplicable. Whether one believes in the prospector's account or not, the story remains a compelling narrative of human endurance and the mysteries of the natural world. As the years go by, the legend of Ape Canyon grows, fueled by the enduring fascination with the unknown. It is a story that continues to be retold, each retelling adding to its mystique and intrigue. The events of that fateful night in 1924 serve as a powerful reminder that there are still many unexplored corners of our world, places where the line between reality and legend blurs.